This tutorial, along with the tutorial on using the segment tool, shows how to add frames to a dataset. This tutorial also shows how to delete frames from a dataset. This is the kind of activity performed or supervised by a dataset curator. These actions require an account with at least user-level privileges. Let's assume that our dataset already exists in a project. We intend to add frames to it from videos and images within the project, as well as elsewhere in Conservator's database. Recall that in Conservator, images are, in effect, one-frame videos. To add images to a dataset, first display the images that you wish to add. Here we use the menu pane to set the context All Images, and then we use the search bar to search for all thermal images in the Conservator database that contain a machine-detected image of a bus. You can select frames from either the grid view or the list view. Here we use the grid view. To select a sequence of contiguous frames, click on the first frame and shift-click on the last frame. To add non-contiguous frames, control-click on each of them individually. Click on Add To and select Dataset. Type a few characters of the dataset name, which must already exist, then select it. For images, the frame skip count is ignored. Every image will be copied to the dataset. Click on Add. Let's visit the dataset to confirm that the images have been added. Here's how to add individual frames from a video to a dataset using the Grid tool. Open a video by double-clicking on it. Switch to Grid View if you're not already in it. As before, use your pointing device to select some frames. Use a click followed by a shift-click to select a sequence of frames, and control-click to add non-contiguous frames. Click Select Dataset in the Actions pane. Start typing the dataset name and select the dataset. Click on Select. Click on Add Frames to Dataset. A pop-up indicates that the frames have been added. Let's visit the dataset and verify that that is the case. We can use existing annotations or predictions to limit the frames that Conservator displays, and from that limited display, add selected frames to a dataset. For example, let's open a video with over 500 frames, but only a few frames containing a bicycle. Choose Grid View. Open the predictions list and click on Bicycle. Now, only the frames containing a prediction of a bicycle are shown. Click, Shift-click, or Control-click to select as many of these frames as are desired to be included in the dataset. By the way, Control-A selects them all. Click on Select Dataset to be sure you're adding frames to the correct dataset, rather than the last dataset to which this video's frames were added. Click on Add Frames to Dataset to add all the selected frames. You can add one or more entire videos to a dataset in one operation. This makes sense if you want to incorporate short videos with a duration of, say, 10 seconds or less. Such videos would contain up to 300 frames each if the frame rate is 30 frames per second. Typically, such video snippets were trimmed outside of Conservator using a video editing tool. To incorporate the videos into our dataset, select them, and in the Action pane, click on Add To, and select Dataset. A list of datasets appears. Begin typing the name of the destination dataset and then select it. As an option, change the frame skip number from 1, meaning every frame, to some other value. Here we pick 5 so that we get every 5th frame. Finally, click Add. A background job now adds frames from the videos to the dataset. When it completes, you will see a pop-up notification. Incidentally, the same Add To button is available if you open a video either in Grid View or Player View. Here's another example. A group of unrelated images has been uploaded as a single zip file. This file is equivalent to a video as far as Conservator is concerned. Thus, like a video, it can be completely copied into a dataset. In this case, since all frames are desired, we leave the frame skip number at 1 and upload all the frames to a dataset. As is typical with a set of unrelated frames, we're adding them to a training dataset. We now turn to the subject of deleting frames from a dataset. When you delete frames from a dataset, they still exist in their original video and image files in Conservator. To remove frames from a dataset, use the Grid View to select one or more frames, perhaps using the Shift or Control keys, and click on Delete Frames in the Actions pane. Note, there's no undo for this operation, and this is the case for all frame deletion operations on a dataset. If you make a mistake, you'll need to go back to the source video or image and re-add the frames to the dataset. You can delete a single frame by clicking on the 3 dots in the lower right-hand corner of the thumbnail for the frame. In the pull-down menu, select Delete Frame. You can delete a group of frames that match a search filter. For example, suppose we want to remove all frames containing a prediction of a chair. First, select all such frames by clicking on the Chair Prediction label in the Actions pane. Then use Ctrl-A to select all those frames. Finally, click on Delete Frames. You can also apply this technique to delete all frames with various markings, such as all flagged frames or all frames marked QA change requested.